All right, The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. This is a great book. If you're here because of the movie, they did make a movie about this with Woody Harrelson and I think Jennifer Lawrence that played Jeanette, if I remember right. Now, I have not seen the movie. I read the book. The book is extremely well reviewed and is like one of the best-selling memoirs of all time. And I really enjoyed this book. It's along the lines of growing up in, well, it is. I was going to compare it to a couple, but let me give you the description. So it's about growing up poor and in a family that moved through the desert and had this fly-by-night dad that, and really mother that was scattered and couldn't get herself together either. It's just being parented by two dysfunctional people, growing up in a dysfunctional family without any money, and then making it to New York where she becomes a reporter for the big magazines and news media organizations, and now tells her story. Now, since 2004, 2006, Jeanette Walls has told this story. She was interviewed on Oprah, and it was basically the angle of hiding who I was because I was scared of people knowing my background and thinking less of me, or perhaps that she'd lose what she had because of it. And it really, initially, it was sort of like, I feel bad that I lied about it, and I'm going to come clean and tell the truth about my life. You go look her up, that's what you'll find. But then she writes this memoir, and it was really different, I felt. I mean, maybe I misread the interview, but this was like, oh, this is who I am, and I did hide it, but it is my story, and it was odd. It was like this was not an angle of I apologize, I lied. So, which I don't think she should have done in the first place. But anyway, this is her true story. This should have been first. But initially, in earlier years, she tried to kind of like seem like apologize for lying. This is not that. This is just the story, which is what it should have been the whole time. Really well written. For me, I have read I'm trying to remember. He's running J.D. Vance's book about growing up, Hillbilly Elegy. That, to me, was just a more entertaining read. If we're talking about in the genre of growing up poor memoirs and environment and stories of pulling yourself out of it, that was kind of you can't compare apples to apples because her story was different, but his story was just an easier read and more gripping. This was just, we move around a lot. Each place we go, we don't have money. Dad and mom are scattered, but we all love each other in our own way. And then at the end, I do well. And it's actually a little controversial. People in the reviews say kind of how I felt, which is, she looked down on her parents a little bit and scolded them for the way they lived, which, you can't defend their behavior by any means, but they were choosing to be that way and live that way. And so, do you hide? And like an example in the story, she's in the taxi and she sees her mother, digging through trash in New York City, and she hides. That's what makes this story interesting, because as a reader, you may agree or you may disagree with that depending on who you are. And so I think that's why people were so riveted by this book, is you read it and you go, okay, if these were my parents, how would I treat them, and what decisions would I make, and how would I feel about it? And so I get that, and it was intriguing, and that was fun. That's something that J.D. Vance's book didn't have. But if you want a book that is totally about overcoming the odds and becoming victorious and pulling yourself out of tough situations, this is a really gripping book. And it was a cool environment. She's in the desert in Nevada for a while, and then they go up to coal mining country in West Virginia, and kind of takes you all over. I mean, it's a good read. So check it out. One of the better memoirs I've read. It is a dark memoir, so it's not some beautiful, smiley, loving ending. But it's her story, and it was well written, and you'll enjoy. I would recommend going to YouTube afterwards and looking her up, watching some of her interviews. I'm going to watch the movie. I want to see the movie, and because apparently the trailer looked really good to me, but people said it wasn't great. But anyway, this is a good memoir. Check it out. I think it's worth one read. I will not be rereading it, but that doesn't mean you won't. So, The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Check it out.